the fourth quarter? Can you meet the target of 6.5 to 7.5% for 2022?
Well, I think we will be able to manage at least 7% for the last year, and we are hoping to exceed, and I think it will happen. We will be able to exceed our projections of 6.5% growth for next year, for this year, and. Again, we're optimistic that the growth rate can actually go beyond 6.5 and hover maybe around 7%.
That is for 2022 or 2023?
For 23. For 23.
What's driving that optimism, given that most are expecting a global recession? 65% chance, they say, of that happening.
Well, because I believe that certainly there is so much room to grow, in the sense that we are starting very many new things now, I suppose, like every other economy. And the basics in our economy have been rather stable. Our growth rate has remained above 6.5% for 22, and I think 23 it will be the same situation. Our unemployment rate is continuing to go down. And for that, once I look at the unemployment rate, and so long as the unemployment rate is not at an alarming level, then it's quite likely that you will not have to go through a recession. So that's what we're counting on. The problems, of course, that we face are similar to other countries, and inflation is actually the one thing that we are having to deal with, and having to intervene in many ways so that to bring inflation back down.
Inflation at a 14-year high. Onions costing about $11 per kilogram, and the ordinary people are not able to afford that. What else can you do?
Well, what we've done is we have increased the supply. It's very, very simple. It's really a demand and supply situation. The onions, for example, it's a very simple analysis. You look at our production rate and how much we produce and how much is the demand, and there's no way you have to import. Now, in the long term, however, sugar is we have the same situation. We have to import because our production is not high enough. But the long term solution, of course, would be to increase production, and that's what we are working on. So these are measures that we are doing. These interventions are, I think, until we get in place the systems that will start to get our production levels up.
How successful do you think you've been as agricultural chief, given where prices are right now?
Well, I think we can say that we have started already to rationalize the system, because the imports, illegal and legal, have been a problem. Mostly the illegal imports that have been going through. And at the very beginning, it was almost impossible for us to determine how many onions there were, how much we had in country, because some of it was smuggled in and we didn't know where they are and what they were, where they came from. So that we've rationalized that now, and our importation schedules are well established and well understood, and all done in keeping with the consultations that we've had with all the stakeholders, including the onion growers in the Philippines.
Right. I want to talk about the South China Sea. You have said that you want to resume talks on oil exploration in the South China Sea with China. How do you think you can break that stalemate?
Oh, that's a difficult thing to have to do, because the impasse really has occurred in the application of law, and both sides say that this area belongs. We say it's just a maritime territory of the Philippines, and of course China claims the same, and therefore the application of law is the local law. Is the Chinese side insists that it has to be the Chinese law, the Philippine side the same. We may find a way around that, is be limited to exploration, and hopefully I think there's still some give and take possible.
What are the red lines for the Philippines, and what are the areas you're willing to concede?
Well, we cannot concede any of the territorial claims that are being made against our established territory. So that is the red line. That is something that will not move, and it's something that we cannot cross because it's a very slippery road from there.
There are reports suggesting that China's militias swarming and perhaps looking to seize some of the land features. What are you doing about that? And is there any intention of lodging a diplomatic protest?
Well, we send note verbals and we bring the attention, and that's why when I met with President Xi, both in APEC and the state visit that I just had to the People's Republic, I said we have to find a system so that these sort of things do not happen. Because if you look at we'll call them incidents that have been going on in the past few weeks, months, it really is a very clear indication that there's very poor communication between the two sides. And I suggested, and I think we're going to establish it, is that we'll have a line of communication that is higher up, so that we have already a bilateral group that's working on the issues on the South China Sea, West Philippine Sea. And but I think I think that it should be raised to a certain level so that the members of that bilateral group can directly call their president. And so if there is a problem, if there is a decision that needs to be made, my team can call me directly, and the same for the Chinese side.
Just very quickly, President Marcos, I'm just wondering, if China does seize some of those features, will the U.S. come to your rescue? Will it intervene? Just very quickly.
Well, yes, they have already made that commitment. They have already made that commitment. And as a matter of fact, when there are certain reports that come in, some of the American ships come down and make their presence felt. So that's just we were hoping just keep it and maintain it in that at that level. And we, of course, all of us that are stakeholders, ASEAN, Asia Pacific countries, all just want peace because we really have a great deal of work to do in recovering our economies.